It's 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, February 7th, 2022. It's at 6 p.m. This is the regular meeting of the Community Development Corporation of Los Fresnos. I'd like to start out by welcoming two new members, Pedro Maldonado and Albert Escobedo. Welcome aboard, gentlemen. I look forward to working with you all. And I do hereby call the meeting to order. Under B, invocation and pledge, Mr. Malo.
Father, thank you for today, and we thank you for these individuals that serve our community. We ask your blessings on them as they go about their lives, and thank you for their service. Be with them tonight as they make decisions for the betterment of our community. We ask you to continue to bless our town. In your name, amen.
Moving on to item C, Miss Jackie, anybody sign up? That being the case, we'll move on to item D, presentation about the U.S. Small Business Administration 504 loan program, real estate financing by Business Development Fund of Brownsville, Texas, Director Daniela Sosa. Ms. Sosa, please take the podium.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Daniela Sosa. I'm the 504 Program Manager for Cameron County. Okay. Hello. Perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniela Sosa. I am the 504 Program Manager for Cameron County. During the pandemic, a lot of small businesses found out about what SBA does. Today, I'm here to talk to you about one of their most important programs, which is their 504 financing program. The 504 is access to capital through the Small Business Administration. Most companies and businesses were affected, and so if they want to go to a bank to get financing for them to expand or relocate or build or just have like a new vision for their business, and they go to a bank, it might be a little bit difficult for them because 2020 was just such a hard year for everyone. SBA offers financing tools specifically for those businesses, and what it does, it provides like risk assessment to the banks. So what it does, if a business goes to a bank to secure a loan, the SBA will back that loan 40%. And that's what the 504 program is specifically. It's for anybody in our community. It's, again, for people that want to expand their business. If they're currently leasing and they want to purchase, it covers land, it covers building. It also covers heavy equipment that has more than a 10-year life term on it. Currently, the rate the Small Business Administration is handling is 3.2%. All of these loans are long-term, which is 15, 20, 25 years. And it's a great resource for the community. Again, the Small Business Administration didn't have a presence in Cameron County until about 3 months ago. So this is a new program. It's a program that we want small businesses to know if you're looking to expand, there is access to capital down here. They're great rates. We work with most of the banks. We We have been establishing some strong relationships, not only with big banks, but also medium-sized banks and also local banks. How the loan works is we first, it could work either way. We meet with bankers. If bankers have a good project already in hand that they think the borrower would benefit from the 504, that's how we'll start the process. Or if a business comes directly to us, then we will discuss the project and then match them with a bank. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. Do you guys have a program specifically for veterans?
The small business mission does, but this one specifically, there is no requirements, like no specific requirements.
Okay, thank you for that.
Are you gonna cover these projects that you have listed on the brochure? Are you gonna go over those projects? Because I have a question, one that is not listed.
Tell me which one.
Well, it's a gym,
A jail?
a gym.
A gym? Okay.
I think they have enough jails here.
It is also covered. Yes, it is. Yes. Yes. So if I could ask you to just disseminate this information, again, it is a great tool. It could benefit a lot of people. Access to capital is something very important, and SBA has been a big supporter of our community, especially during the pandemic. So we want to make sure that people know that this resource is available and that we're now in Cameron County. Yes, we're located in the Dancy building downtown.
To Mr. Casanova's question, it covers almost any kind of business, right?
Yes, it covers hotels, restaurants. Currently, we're assisting a doctor's office. They just kind of ran out of space and now they're looking for something bigger. So what he's doing is he's buying property off the expressway and he's going to be building. So for that loan, he's asking for $2 million, but through SBA financing, the maximum loan size is $20 million.
And so does it put them in a better position to get a loan whenever SBA's guaranteeing 40% of it?
It really does.
It's advantageous for the, I guess, the borrower.
It really is. Again, because it mitigates risks from the bank. Again, not everybody had good financials 2020. So when the bank looks at their track record, there's always going to be a dip in that year. So maybe they don't feel confident enough because they think, well, maybe this business won't be able to pay back the loan. But with then the SBA backing of that 40%, that's what it's for. Yeah. Any other questions? No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is all, I'm new to this, so I'm gonna start crawling before I can walk and then run. I know I read it here was that Business Development Funds is a Texas private nonprofit economic development organization certified by the small business. Where does that money come from?
So that money is, the 40% is through SBA, and that's all through bonds. Yeah. Yeah, so the Small Business Administration has 202 CDCs across the United States. And that's why that's the purpose of the CDC, to assist small businesses that don't have very good, that aren't able to get a loan on their own. That's when the SBA provides its financial backing and secures that 40%.
It's federal money. that's appropriated by the federal government, the 40% backing.
And as opposed to a regular conventional loan, the injection of the small business is only 10%, which is also a huge benefit because that means that the business will be able to have more working capital. They won't have to put up so much in order to qualify for the loan.
Mr. Martinez, I'm sure you'll be working hand in hand with Ms. Sosa and on this program, correct?
Mhm.
Good, great
Thank-
presentation. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
It's always a pleasure to hear about a program like this because people come to us and, you know, we're limited in what we can refer them to, but this is an excellent program for existing businesses. You know, and there's new business coming into Los Fresnos, but there's some businesses that have been around for a long time that could use the injection of capital to help them grow and keep on operating. Thanks again for your time and your presentation. You got one more question.
So if we have any questions that Mr. Martinez, we can come to you with those questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item E, action items under 1, consideration and action to approve the minutes from January 3rd, 2022.
Gentlemen of the board, I have reviewed the minutes. I find them to be factual and correct and accurate. So with that, I'd like to recommend approval of the January 3rd, 2022 minutes.
Second the motion.
There's a second and I'm sorry, there's a motion and a second that we approve the minutes of January 3, 2022. Any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to item number 2, consideration and action to acknowledge the December 2021 sales tax report. Mr. Milo.
Yes, sir. This one was what was omitted last month, so we're bringing it back for approval. It's you can see that the CDC portion on page packet page 9 is the far block, right-hand block, and what the CDC share is, and 12.3% over last year, and year-to-date 11.41. So good increase, total of $13,000 to the good so far in 3 months.
Very good. Does that conclude your report, Mr. Munn?
Yes.
Do we have any questions, comments, discussion on item number E2?
Yes, just want to make a comment. I was taking a brief look at this time last year from 2021, excuse me, fiscal year 20 to 21. And you can see if you consider all 3 of those accounts, how the money's gone up. So things are really looking good in our community, and just wanted to highlight that.
Any further questions, comments, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve acknowledge the tax report for December 2021.
I second that.
I hear a second.
Oh, I second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. We acknowledge the December 2021 sales tax report. There being no further comments, questions, discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Under item number 3, consideration and action to acknowledge the January 2022 financial report under A, monthly, B, year-to-date, and C, sales tax report. Mr. Milo.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Packet page 11 shows the check register for the month. All of those items are standard expenditures, and there's nothing there that is out of the ordinary or that you haven't specifically approved. For Albert and Pete, I can get with y'all later if you got questions on specifics, and you'll pick up on some repetitive ones that go through the year. The next page, on packet page 12, that's just a summary of our expenditures, our revenue and our expenditures. The CDC is funded by a half a cent sales tax. The city gets a total of 2% or 2 cents. And I guess I should say percent because it's not cents. They get 0.5%, and we're estimating it'll be 510,000. Well, that's the total. We get a little bit of interest for our money that's in the account, but budget was based on 510. We've brought in 173 so far, so that's 33% of our budget, and we've completed 33% of the year. So we're tracking good in the revenue. The expenditure side, we do a balanced budget. So year to date, that middle column, $62,989.59 on disbursements. That's 16.46%. So we haven't, which is good. Revenue good, expenditures low. So the next page breaks out your sales tax, which I was referencing a while ago. We base it on 510, a little bit of interest, and that's the revenue and the monies that annually the CDC has to spend. So you can see that doing fine there. The next 14 is just vacant, and then 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. That's just the different categories that we budget the monies in. You can see the different areas, part-time salaries, supplies, promotion, advertising, special projects. That kind of ends up being anything that we haven't specifically tied to a project, so it's available to be used. That's 232,000. You can see on the bottom right of page 15. So the next page is the insurance business incentive grant program. We have grant programs, we have landscaping programs, and we have storefront improvement programs that we help businesses. And so that's where those funds come out of, that line item. And you'll get familiar with those as we go. There's 15,000 that goes to the city for general administration. And then the CDC has approved 83,000 as part to help in some different projects that have been done. One of them was streets. You can't do streets in neighborhoods, but you can do it in the business district, especially in our community where we have, we utilize the alleys. So the CDC can pay for those kind of things. And then last time it was some water and sewer upgrades. Once again, you can't pay for the upgrades in the residential area, but you can in the commercial area. So that's what that represents, the 83,000. I think the 20,000 will go off in another couple of years, if I remember right, or 20 or 25. That was for a street project done 10 years ago. So that goes away. Budget time will show you all that, but just to kind of let you know a few of those things. As you get to page 19, you see the totals. Those are the totals that we're seeing on the page, the summary page at the beginning. And then when you go to packet page 20, again, that's the sales tax report that we looked, but now we have January in there. As you can see, we had an 8.24% increase. The CDC's portion is the far right column, block column. And for the year, 10.6% increase and $16,000 over last year. It's different than budget. It's over last year. So indicates that our businesses are very healthy and doing well. So that's very good news. And that's all my report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, discussion on Mr. Milam's report? That being the case, do I hear a motion?
Yes, sir.
I would move that we accept or acknowledge the report from January of 2022 that included the monthly, year-to-date report and sales tax report.
Thank you, Bill. And I'd like to second to acknowledge the January 2022 financial report, A monthly, B year-to-date, and C sales tax report.
We have a motion and a second on item number 3. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to item number E4, consideration and action to approve a signed grant for Coastal Event Rentals LLC located at 31047 State Highway 100.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the site committee the grant committee of William and Daniel met just before this meeting and recommend as well as a staff recommendation on graphic signs. They're the lowest bid without tax. We don't include the tax, so it's $9,500. Normally we do 50%, but it's capped at $3,750. So that's our recommendation, $3,750. If you'll look at packet page 26, you can see what that sign will look like, and it'll be a very nice looking sign. As you can see, got quite a few businesses that work out of his facility there. So that's our recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Milam. Any questions, comments, discussion on item number E4? Do I hear a motion? I'll make a
I'll go ahead
motion.
and make a motion to approve a sign grant for Coastal Event Rentals LLC located at 31047 State Highway 100 in the amount of, I think it was $3,750. Well, the quote came in for $9,500. CD's part will be $3,750.
I second that.
Yes. Somebody got a second?
Did he say $3,700 or $2,750?
$3,750.
Okay,
$3,750.
okay. Any questions, comments, discussion on item number 4, signed grant for Coastal Event Rentals LLC? That being the case, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, unanimous. Under item E5, consideration and action to elect a president and vice president for a 1-year term. I don't remember how we do this. We do it once a year, so there's nominations. Do I hear a nomination for a vice president?
I'd like to make a nomination for vice president. Like to nominate Mr. Daniel. Alvarez, if you continue.
Yes.
Thank you, Marco.
I hope you accept.
You can just make a motion if you want, and instead of unless if there's other nominations, you can, find out if there's other nominations first.
Okay, is there a nomination for president?
No, for vice president first.
Okay, any further nominations for vice president? It's closed. All,
Now make a motion. Marco made the motion that now, since he nominated it, it can go into a motion, and then you need a second.
A second. Second.
you so move? Do we hear a second? Okay. Motion and a second that Danny Alanis be elected vice president. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Moving on to the position of president.
We have to make a nomination, correct, Mr. Mylum?
Well, I'm new here, so I don't know.
I'll make a motion that we nominate Henry Juarez for president.
I accept the nomination. Any further? Okay. Is there a second to the nomination?
I second.
I'll second it.
Okay. So now we can proceed to a vote. Any other nominations? That being the case, all in favor of Henry Juarez being president, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Congratulations to me.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Henry.
Moving on to, that was hard. Moving on to item E6, review and discuss the updated nature park master plan. Mr. Mylum.
Yes, sir. I'll try to get through this. You should have this with you that's a lot bigger than the one that's in the package so that you can see it. So we'll be going off of that. As you know, the CDC budgeted to fund a study to say, okay, we've done a whole lot of stuff at the nature park. What's the next steps? Because we have completed all the steps that had done initially from a study that was done, well, when we created the idea, started back in 2012. And as we got funding and got things done to where they are now. So the park boards met a couple times with the firm, and this is kind of a first draft of that. The first page you see there just tells you what's there now. A lot of items throughout the park. Won't go into each one. You can read those. Page 2 has some pictures of that. If you haven't been out there, kind of tells you what's there and shows you the different areas. Pictures don't do justice for it. Number 3 is an overview of all the things that they are proposing to get done. Many of them are things that you as a board have mentioned at different times. The park board has, the city council has, residents, and just, everybody's kind of thrown these ideas. So You can see all of them listed. To really understand it, we have to go one by one. So I'll skip and won't say any more about page 3. That just tells you where in the whole, the plan where each one is located as far as the things that they're proposing. The next page 4. And we put it as priority 1. Not all the priorities are necessarily set in stone. We can move them around. Number 1, as funds become available, we might have a little bit of funds, and say we have $20,000 to use, and the next priority up is a $150,000 priority. Well, we can't get that done, so we either do another priority or we hold the money until we have it. So a lot of decisions be made further down the line. But priority number 1 is remove the non-native vegetation, primarily the Brazilian pepper. The CDC budgeted for that already. They have been working on that. The weather has messed that all up. So they think that they've got a long ways into it and only used a few days. So that was what the board approved last meeting, or it was last meeting. So we'll have more report on there, but that's the priority 1, is get all of the stuff that's not supposed to be there gone. Any questions on that? Yes, but I'll put a condition on that. The estimate is up to $150,000. It's hard to tell what that will be. The CDC board approved 20,000 to go in there and see how far that takes us, and it'll get us a good roadmap to say we need this much more, or hey, we're done. So we'll know hopefully by our meeting next month how we're looking. Page number 5, it's priority number 2. When you remove something, we need to put it back. And our goal is to continue to restore not only the areas where they moved the Brazilian peppers, but when they put the trail in initially, and there's huge walk areas where, there might be 30 feet from the walk area to the brush. So we want to start getting that brush back in those areas. So that will probably be an ongoing expense, but we can spend a lot of money to make some headways pretty quickly. So we would go back with different plants and trees that would be native to this area. The next page is page 6. Priority 3, benches. One of the things we get a lot was, I'm not there to run or exercise. I'm there to walk around, look at the wildlife, look at the plants and the trees, and enjoy the outdoors. And I need to sit and relax. So one of them is benches. This is one that can be done in all kinds of ways. There's people who already have donated benches. We've got a donation policy of people donating a bench in someone's name. So that's been done a couple of times. CDC's already bought a few. I think we've got 2 more to put out there. So that'll be an ongoing deal for a little bit too, but not an expensive project. The next page, in page 7, is priority 4, is the park addition. We're not saying adding to it. What we wanted to do is focus on, as you're driving down 1847, you pass the dead recycle on the right, that first little little over 2 acres, we didn't purchase that with the original monies. The person that owned that wanted 3 times the value to it. So we said, fine, you can keep it. And we designed the park around it. 2 years later, they came back and said, hey, I think we want to sell it to you now, and we'll agree to that price. And so we bought it. It was never in the development of the first master plan that we created. So this is taking and putting that in the plan. And some of the ideas are a concrete drive to come in from, there's a little entrance already that used to be an old house that was there, for maybe a kayak launch where people can drop a kayak there, little dock where it can go out and you can launch those kayaks, but you can also maybe bird watch, a little trail and some stone benches and just some landscaping. We don't want to, if you see that area, it's very, very pretty the way the landscape goes. And so we don't want to fill it up with a lot of things. We want to keep it. I would love to see some nice green carpet grass and trees trimmed up in that area, but leave it pretty native. So that's that priority. The next one is page number 8. And it's priority with the amphitheater. If you've been there, the amphitheater just kind of exists there. It hasn't been utilized, and it's probably not built exactly the way it should be for an amphitheater. So there was two different ideas talked about. One was getting some kind of shade over it and improving it with a canopy, some trees and some of those kind of things. And then moving the stage up closer to the actual stair-stepped area. The amphitheater is what it's built into the ground. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is one I really kind of like. It's more of a citrus garden. You know, the Rio Grande Valley is known for citrus. Why not utilize that area to plant the different kinds of trees, grapefruits, oranges, ruby red was known for this area. So, and have a, you know, just an area that's what's there. So that's something to be decided upon at a later time. But that's page 8. Page 9 is a pergola or a little outdoor classroom. It would actually be in front of where the amphitheater is now. And you can see a little design of that, a couple of them there on the bottom of your page. And the idea is to have a place where maybe a teacher can come with a class from the high school and, you know, have a little session with them outdoor to view certain things and have a place where they can stop and do that. So that's kind of the idea for that. The next one on page 10 is just trails. One of the concerns is destroying, having a park and a nature park and people, but you don't want to destroy what the livestock that's there, the birds, and there's animals that come and go in there. So maybe cut some trails, but not the big trails like you do around it's a 10-foot trail that walks around the perimeter of it, but go through the middle and have a trail that is not necessarily poured with concrete, but just maybe a trail that winds about 2 or 3 foot wide through the brush and have everything overgrown, and so that you don't disturb what's there. If you take all that off, we won't have a nature park anymore. So that's kind of the concerns with that, and not do too many trails, but maybe a few there. The next one on page 11, priority number 8, is a couple more bird blinds. There's some up towards the front. We got to put some benches in there, but maybe some towards the back, 1 or 2 in some areas that could be a good place for those. Maybe one more towards the Resaca area where you can look at some of the water birds, fowl. There you go. Whatever. There you go. I'm learning. Priority 9 is, pedestrian, around the walking areas and in some of the areas we didn't do good about making them ADA compliant. And so they make them ADA compliant, but just upgrade some of those little areas where we want the butterflies to do well in. It's not a big thing, but it would be a good addition. The next one is page 13. The water line just goes right now to about where the amphitheater is and stops. The idea is run it around the entire area so that as we put the new vegetation in, we have a way to water it. Also keeps with a dead end line. If nobody's used the water fountain for a while, they use it. It's pretty bad. So you loop it, you get rid of all of that problem. So it would serve 2 purposes: get us a loop to keep it fresh water, and 2, to be able to water anything that we needed to water, or if we had a water fountain somewhere there for birds to come to, it would be nice as well. We'd have it. Aerators, and that would be out in the actual water itself. You've seen them at different places. It just helps the water quality. I'd love to have one that changes colors at night. So at night you can see different colors. That's just a dream I've always had. I've driven by there my whole life and visualized that. So we'll see. Page number 14. Am I 14? Am I right? Yeah. Erosion control. Along the bank lines, if you've been around Resaca's very much, they wash away through mainly through the wind. And so there's different ideas to do that. Some of these examples they're doing in Brownsville and been very successful. And we would like to include erosion control along 1847 as well when we do that. The reason why I would like that is we can then mow it and maintain it. If you go down there now, you see the road, the sidewalk, an ugly fence, and then a bunch of cattails. And we can't get rid of those because there's no access, because it just goes and basically drops off. If we put a nice erosion control there, we can maintain it and have access to it. So really more than one benefit to that. The next thing is 13 is Resaca dredging. It's very, very expensive, but that Resaca is not deep at all. In fact, probably no more than 3 foot deep. It's probably the deepest on a normal level. 4 would be max. So, Brownsville does have a machine that maybe we could get access to. They dredge their Resacas. It's on a program. PUB does that. Just in passing, we've had some conversations with them about doing something here, but we'd have to get with them and make that happen. That would probably be less expensive because we could do it, as a partnership with them. You can also hire it. I talked to a guy one time and he said, $2 million, I'll clean it up for you. That's pretty expensive. So, but that needs to be done. It'll help fish. If we go to fishing later, if we do any kind of kayak, really you can't do that now at all times of the year. So number 14 goes to fish stocking. You wouldn't want to do that unless you dredged it. That would be a cool thing to do, and have people be able to fish. Take the kids out there and do that. Freshwater supply line. Right now, that I mentioned before, it's a dead Resaca. There's no fresh water coming into it. Drain comes, all the drain water comes all the way from the high school, wraps around in there. Some people call the Falcon Lake around this high school. It's connected, and that's just really for drainage. So when we're in dry spells, we have to pump water from the North Resaca, the north of the high school, and along the eastern boundary in the backside, we have to pump it down a ditch there into that Resaca in order to get any water. Otherwise, it'd dry up in dry times. We haven't had that problem here lately, but we have had it 1 year. I think we've had to fill it 4 times, which is pretty significant. So it'd be good to have a line there, turn a valve, get water, be done with it instead of cutting the ditch and getting a tractor and pumping it and those kind of things. Overflow discharge basically is drainage. The other problem to that is there has never been a true drainage out of that. In the old days, there was a 16-inch pipe, 18-inch pipe that runs underneath all the way to the south towards where Holiday Out is and goes into drainage that's there. Many years ago, that collapsed. And so it still drains some, but it doesn't drain well. When we get a big rain, we have to put a pump on the backside of that and pump water from that Resaca into the drainage ditch. Not the best way to drain things. It works, but it's not the best. We already have the funding set aside for this through the city in a loan grant that we've got. So it's still going to be on our plan, but one of the good things about that is we get that project ready to go, and we'll already get that done. Next one is page 16, priority 17 is just throughout the playground area. That picture is right there at the front. When we put the playground area, we just did the playground. It's not ADA accessible where a wheelchair can get in there. So this will do that and bring that up to standards, and that's something we need to do. Not that much money when you look at the overall cost, but yet if you're in a wheelchair, it would mean the world to you. Or if you're a parent of someone that's in a wheelchair, mean the world to you if you could get around that. So that's, to me, is a very important one. Bollards, kind of putting them in the area so that trucks can't go down the trail. There can be some removable ones, so when maintenance does have to happen, it can be done. It's not an expensive item to do, and probably way over budgeted there on that cost estimate. Lighting, the idea is to have along the trail maybe some lighting to just a low light, and you can see that cost. I'm kind of torn by the lighting myself, just because that'll invite people to go all night long. and maybe it's just good that the thing closes when it gets dark and opens when it gets light. So not to say that I'm against it, but there's some positives. The way it is now is dark. You shouldn't be there. And that's that. And I know it's a little bit long there, but I wanted to go through that. And got any comments, you can now, or get with me offline. We haven't finalized that. We'll have one more meeting with the park board and try to finalize this and put it as a working document so that what it's able to do is, as we go through the budgets next year, we can pick some things out. With the extra money we have this year, you can pick some things out. The city can do the same thing, but also we can start applying for some grants because we have an actual plan to move forward and be able to possibly get some grants that'll fund some of that. That's all my comments.
Great report. A lot to look forward to, but also when you look back, we've come a long way. There's a lot that has been done at this park. And everybody's worked on is to be commented because it's a lot of work done already and a lot to look forward to.
Just have one question, Mark. So all of this is funded by parts of the grants that the city has, budget, agreements that you have already with like CDC, but is there any other funding for this park or?
I can tell you where we've been. We don't have any funding going forward. The funding, and I'll have to add all of the things that we've done recently, but we're probably around $2 million in what we've done. CDC's probably put in 10% of that, maybe, and the city maybe 10%, and the others have all been grants. The original purchase was a grant from that Cameron County was able to secure for us, $700 and some odd thousand. And then we took that money and matched it with a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant for $400,000, and we're able to put the trails in and some of those things. Additionally, in October, the county called and says, "Hey, we've got $150,000 and we can't spend it by December 31st, but we thought you could." And I said, "Yes, I can." And so they transferred that money to us and we expended it by December 31st. So as you know, be in the right place at the right time and ability to make things happen. So I will update that funding for you because it shows a lot of different funding sources and what all was done. Pretty cool to get that kind of project with very minimal input from both the CDC and the city. Now, as you get the master plan, each one can decide, hey, we'd like to put forth, or we, go find some grants. There's some grants to do parks like this and nature parks. Everybody always wants to get grants. Why don't you do grants for streets? Nobody will give you a grant to fix a street, but they'll give you all kinds of money to do this. So kind of pick and choose.
Very good. That concludes your report, Mr. Milo.
Yes, sir. Just to reiterate that this would be a plan going forward. We won't finish in 1 year or 2 years. It'll be over a period of time.
Very good.
I was privileged to be at the last meeting with the architects or whatever we're calling them, Hanson. I was impressed with them because they listened to us from the previous meeting. And they've really adjusted the plan to keep the focus on the back part of the park on nature and the front part for the community. And I think it's a good plan. It's a good use of the land. If that was a 200-acre park, we could really go wild, but it's not. And I'm very much into the nature part of it, both as a bird watcher and as an educator. So I'm a little hypersensitive on anything that might detract from the nature part. And I think this is a good plan. It's an ambitious plan. It's a long-term plan, but it's in the right direction.
I'd like to make a comment also. I agree. Anytime you have removal of any type of vegetation, it's also going to hurt the wildlife, the birds that are there. I didn't know what kind of plant that was. I guess those are the plants or the trees that are on the side of the resaca. But I've noticed that in the times that I've been around that area, because my son lives over there, I've noticed the chachalacas and the green jays. So anytime that you remove, you hurt them and they have to go somewhere else. So I'm hoping that the replacement will enable these animals to come back so that we have a real nice, and the way it was, kind of nature park.
Yes, we will fail if we only take the Brazilian peppers out and if we don't put back in very quickly. Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Moving on to item F. Report by CDC consultant under 1, CDC consultant report January 2022. A, economic development, and B, community development and promotions. Mr. Martinez.
Hello, and just wanted to mention that you have your report brief in front of you. We've had a very exciting month, by the way. Oh, welcome to new board members. We've had a very exciting month. We've had a lot of inquiries, as you can see in my summary there of businesses calling in, or not only to the CDC office, the chamber and city interest, people of interest because of how we're growing. I thank you for visiting with the SBA 504 representative. They had their office before on Elizabeth. Now they moved it to the courthouse. So, and we do refer businesses to them, as you can see here, as reported. On community development, Mr. Milo pretty well gave you the information of what we're doing with the Brazilian plant demolition. And as we move forward, I didn't get an opportunity to get the video, but we will next month for you in the report. We did a lot of promotion with the rodeo and all those groups that you all nonprofit groups that you have, the rodeo, the Conjunto and others that you all fund. We also help them promote the brand of the city throughout the region, South Texas. The destination map, as you can see in the back, second page, we already did the brochure. We sent out some brochures already throughout the community. The business brochure that we partner with the chamber. But if you can see on the screen, I passed around, I had only one copy of the city map brochure. We're going to promote to our new, because we ran out of the old ones, we're going to promote the community as a place to live, because we have so many developments going on. And this is just one sample, and I passed out the other one so you could see it. They should be finished by this end of this month, and we're going to be sending those out too. As well as some, for example, some of them, I'll ask them to take to a conference at Walmart. We are always marketing or promoting Los Fresnos. That's our destination brochures. Any questions? We really congratulations to the whole community, because we are being recognized now by major Texas family franchises, if I may say the term. And as part of that reason is all of us, you all, the city, the management, the chamber, all the partners working together for one goal, to make this community, the city, a vital and attractive place to do all kinds of activities, from nature to business to living, etc. Thank you very much. That's my report. Any questions? I'm always available to, so.
I have a question. How many of these are being printed?
Pardon me?
How many of these are being printed?
Oh, we're printing 5,000 of the ones printed from the city, excuse me, the chamber, CDC and the city. We did it with Los Fresnos News, and they do some distribution, and we get about 1,500, but they give us more boxes during the year of the business brochure. Of the maps, we're getting 5,000 done for the next 2 years. But we can always print more if we run out.
And those are being distributed here in the county, or you distribute in?
We distribute to about 40 locations, including the Port of Brownsville. And the Port of Port Isabel, we're going to put a display, the little plastic displays they have at the office, and all the small businesses around here, the county annex. We also distribute to the Texas Tourist Center. Yeah, in Harrington, we're gonna expand that to 2 more in South Texas. And we do mail outs to all the businesses at the airport, including SpaceX, but I do it to the HR. If you give me a referral, I'll send it to them. And the developers that are developing these properties, which are 5 developers that come into town, 3 that are actually doing dirt, developing the streets and lots, and 2 that are, one's already platted but not started yet, and 1 that's in the works with Mr. Nyland's team. So those groups will be getting at least 100 brochures each for their own marketing program. So we joint venture with everybody to move forward.
Do you have this as a digital format?
Pardon me?
Do you have it in a digital format? Like on a website or social media or?
Oh, yes,
however,
we
so
do
they
that.
can
We
download
have
it
a,
and see
we
it?
have a website, CDC website. And the college intern helped with that because I'm not too high tech at that. But we have a college intern that helps in updating that with our webmaster, yes.
But what he was asking is that brochure, is it digitalized so that we can send it out on social media?
Oh, yes.
Send it out to different businesses? Okay.
Yes, we get it that way, electronically. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
because I do a lot of marketing and that will be one of the things that will save you a lot of money.
Sure.
By having it digital and being able to people access like the website and
Sure.
download it, or they don't have to come in here and see it. And at the same time, you're promoting the city
Yes.
and the businesses in there. So that'll be, it's just putting a file there on our website that it can
We use
download
both
stuff.
platforms. We use both I call it the old school and the electronic. Yeah, we use both platforms. Thank you. Anything else?
Before he moves on from economic development or business development, hate to leave and not mention, since the last time we met, Whataburger has made their announcement to move into where the old bank building was. We have been working on that. I think our first meeting with them was January 14th of last year. And so it's been a long work, but maybe we'll have another chain that's, recognized as, if they're there, it's good to be there. It's good for others to be there too. So we probably should mention that since that happened since the last meeting.
That's good work, Mr. Martinez. Maybe that's a good point that was raised by Alberto. Maybe we need to take another look at what we do and not fall behind, and maybe do a little more emphasis on the audio, video, electronic, or media advertising, which from my limited knowledge, I believe is a wide or super big range with not that much cost involved. Thank you for your report. Moving on to item G, report by general manager. Under A, cameras. Under B, infrastructure project, caution lights, and C, Veterans Memorial. Mr. Milo.
Yeah, we had a meeting set up to go try to start determining where the cameras be located, but weather has kept us from getting that done. What it is for y'all's knowledge is cameras at the nature park to where it can videotape birds, and we can have a connection on internet, and maybe folks from all over can look in and see what kind of animals we have, especially birding, come at different times. So that's what that's about. It's funded already. We just need to make it happen. Infrastructure project on caution lights. That's caution lights to let the motorists know that our EMS and fire come out on this road. They don't stop. Even when the ambulance comes, they just don't stop. So maybe some caution lights will help. TxDOT usually does that. They keep putting it off. So the fire department has hired FSG to do that. And Gene got a message from them today. He says getting closer and closer, working with TxDOT maintenance on our traffic safety for the project. So they have to do a traffic safety plan. And he says everything else has been approved to move forward. So it should happen before too long. One of those drawn out ones. Veterans Memorial. The Veterans Memorial is idea that has been longstanding, that on the front corner here, we would put a memorial to our veterans in all the different branches of military. The CDC is funding the engineering on that, or the architecture on that. Mr. Casanova and Mr. Keeler and I met after it's been the second time after they took our ideas. They both had some questions and different thoughts that I sent back to them to answer, and then kind of upgrade to see if we can get us a final plan on that. So I haven't heard back from them. So I would imagine before the next meeting, we'll have something to present and say, hey, this is what they're looking at. Looks good so far. I'm liking it.
Yes, I'm very happy with the, so far, how far we come with that project. But I don't want it to, like I told the Army guy, I don't want it to be about me or him, just to have, let's say, a Navy anchor out there. I want more input from everybody, because I want it to be everybody's memorial, not just a Navy memorial.
Just the input, I'm hoping Mr. Keeler will stay involved. He said, no, let somebody else, since he's not on the CDC board anymore. I've asked him a couple of times, because he does have very good ideas, as well as Mr. Casanova. Both of them served in the military, so it helps. So as we move forward, we'll see how that goes.
Thank you, Mr. Marlin. Does that conclude your report?
Yes, sir.
I'm moving on to H, committee reports and actions as may be appropriate. My comments on here is maybe by next meeting, everybody will take a look at the areas. And for example, the first one, advertising and promotion, Mr. Jones and Mr. Keeler are no longer here. So we'll need two people in there. And you know, here's an opportunity to move around if you are on one of these committees and you decide, well, maybe I want to be on another one. So maybe by next meeting, take a look at it and let Mr. Milam know, so that we can be assigned. I say assigned, be appointed to these committees within this board. Any comments on this H, committee reports? That being the case, we'll take the short route, nothing to report. Moving on to item number I. Time is 7:09, meeting adjourned.